Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and before I get going, I'll remind everybody, if you want to join the group to get the full video and the extended video with no commercials, you got two options. One, you can go to daixrp.com and join through the Patreon. Two, if you'd rather, you can go and click this join button below all of my YouTube videos and join through YouTube. Less than a cost a cup of coffee. Here's what I'm going to talk about in there today. The first thing is I've got a story from the Masters golf tournament. One of my friends locally went there about an interesting XRP conversation they had with somebody that they met. Second thing I'm going to talk about is one of the biggest lies ever told. Third thing I'm going to show you a crypto portfolio I saw today that I totally agree with. And then also this morning I put in there the link for the new company that I'm using for my institutional grade custody, where I have a personal rep. I can actually talk to somebody. Groundbreaking. Okay, here we go. We've got a 199 XRP. The market's pretty flat as far as things go. Here's Jamie Dimon talking about the tariff situation.
And then, of course, when they put the tariffs in, it was way beyond what people expected. That will cause a little inflation, slow down growth. But I hope what they really do is let Scott Bessent, who I think is a professional, negotiate. I know Japan's here, I gather Korea, Vietnam have called, and then eventually Europe. Get those things done quickly. If you want to calm down the markets, show progress in those things, and let Scott take the time. Trade deals are very large and very complex.
I think that's how this story ends. You're gonna end up seeing negotiated deals, and all of a sudden the United States is gonna have a brand new income stream. This is a hilarious picture that Zero Hedge posted. It's got Jerome Powell staring at the gold chart going up. He'll turn the printing presses on. Look, global money supply is exploding. Crypto will follow, not Bitcoin will follow. Crypto will follow. Meta Lawman says, since the Fed will not ride to the rescue of the bond market, U.S. dollar stablecoins become even more critical. Congress needs to pass smart stablecoin legislation now. Oh, wait, they just started another 2-week recess today. Is it possible that all this was done to create urgency to get the stablecoin bill passed? Crypto Trump card. Look at this. It's talking about the dollar index. Worries about an erosion in international confidence in the dollar. I keep telling you, crypto was created to backstop the dollar, folks. And then there's this. Circle mints an additional 250 million USDC on Solana. What it should say is Circle mints an additional 250 million USDC and buys US treasuries with it. The timing is interesting, right? And I said the US stablecoin issuers are about to turn on the printing presses, Federal Reserve 2.0. That's what this is, folks. China's President Xi just broke his silence on U.S. trade war mess, making it crystal clear Beijing's not begging and definitely not blinking. For over 70 years, China's development has relied on self-reliance and hard work, never on handouts from others, and it is not afraid of any unjust suppression. Regardless of how the external environment changes, China will remain confident, stay focused, concentrate on managing its own affairs well. He called trade wars unwinnable, but made it clear China's not folding no matter how rough it gets. Well, this is a Chinese guy, and what they don't address is, will their communist regime survive as this thing hits their economy and people get hungry?
The problem is that in this scenario, to use your metaphor, the US has the bigger gun. And so China ends up having more to lose from this trade war, doesn't it? You know, it can't sustain the loss of 15% of its export market, i.e. what you export to the US.
Not at all. China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't
You
care.
can't.
We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000 years.
Okay. And then you got this. This guy says bond yields are going up. I mean, USA is not as competitive for investors as it used to be. Of course, this is why we need Bitcoin. I said, nope. This is why we need blockchain networks with utility that you can build stable coins on.
One of the remarkable developments has been this, that at a time when there's concern across the globe, the general trade has been to trade into U.S. assets as a flight to safety. That's not happening now. The dollar is selling off this morning against a broad range of currencies. Yields have been elevated. Is it curious to you, and what is it telling you, that there is no obvious or traditional flight to safety in the current environment?
Yeah, I think your observation goes to the heart of the matter, and I always go back to fundamentals. Why do we have a trade deficit in America for decades? It's because this is just the math of economics. Investors around the world have viewed America as the best place to invest. And if that's true, we will have a trade deficit. And so now, one of the ways that expresses itself is in lower yields across asset classes in America. So if the trade deficit's going to go down, it could be that investors are saying, okay, America no longer is the most attractive place in the world to invest. And then you would expect to see bond yields go up. Now, it also could be inflation, and that's why this matters a lot to the Fed. I'm not seeing evidence yet that long-run inflation expectations are climbing, and it's the Fed's job to make sure that that doesn't happen. But I would expect to see, if investors decide, hey, we want to invest elsewhere, all else equal, that ought to be pushing up yield.
Okay. And then we have this. I mean, they're going to great lengths to keep the Bitcoin psyop going. Now, GameStop is copying the MicroStrategy business plan.
Hey, Charles, they come back on. Listen, as to their almost $5 billion they have in cash, again, no debt, by the way, we think they should put at least half of that amount, at least $2.5 billion should go to Bitcoin at this point. The problem that Ryan Cohen, excellent CEO, has is that he should have made these moves a year or 2 years ago. When Bitcoin was 30, 40, $50,000.
But that's what if, right? That doesn't matter anymore, right? That's in the past. But for the future, you say this is a good approach, though.
Absolutely. It's a great special situation stock. We played AMC. We did well there. We used Trump Media, did well there. We think GameStop is going to 50 on this move, ultimately $100, because this is now a $13 billion hedge fund that's got the ability to invest in Bitcoin, which is just getting started, is the best supply demand story there is. We applaud Ryan Cohen on this excellent move.
So,
okie dokie. Look, Michael Saylor is going full Jim Jones. And for those of you that aren't aware of who Jim Jones is, he was the cult leader that literally got his followers to drink his Kool-Aid, and it killed them all. And I'm not saying Michael Saylor is trying to kill anybody, but I am saying he put himself in a priest garb to promote Bitcoin. He literally tweeted this today. I mean, there is but one path to economic immortality. I mean, that is just, I mean, when you start seeing the red flags, you got to pay attention, folks. And there's more red flags. Lark Davis, who I consider to be one of the good guys that's a Bitcoin maxi, he put this out as if it's a shot at altcoin people, but it's literally almost like a cult where they're knocking people out in a church service or something. And he was trying to make the point that all these people are altcoin people, I guess. And the preacher is Bitcoin, I guess. I mean, come on. Red flags everywhere. Here's another one. Remember when this guy was telling you, he was one of many Bitcoin maxis telling everybody that, we should sell gold and buy Bitcoin with it, US gold. Well, now gold is surging while Bitcoin's not. And all of a sudden he's telling you to buy Bitcoin and gold.
And
it's fun watching this child grow up.
This is why Bitcoin will decouple, because Bitcoin isn't priced on earnings. And if countries are looking for something to own, you're going to want scarce reserve assets. Long gold, long Bitcoin. Easy. That's why people don't understand what we're living through.
We don't need to listen to any more. That's all you needed to hear. And then look at this. Here's another one. 21 million Bitcoin, 8 billion people. Do the math. Well, the math I'm doing is that Bitcoin has no use case, okay? But there was someone who was also talking about close to 8 billion. That is Arthur Brito, one of the creators of the XRP ledger early on. He says, looking forward, the XRP ledger needs to be able to scale to serve 7.5 billion people and even more devices. The current account mechanism likely doesn't scale to this level. Therefore, only those accounts that are most needed should be created. The reserve provides a barrier to entry for unneeded accounts. I expect most users of XRP will use hosted accounts for day-to-day needs, holding small amounts of XRP, placing orders, making payments on ledger accounts would likely only be used as by gateways, wallet operators, those that require cold wallets, and those that have sufficient operational needs to justify acting on the ledger directly. And then here's this from John Deaton. Could pose midterm challenges to Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey. So she's saying that this survey is talking about John Deaton could run against a different senator in Massachusetts. That would be interesting. The polling's showing that he could win. Okay, we're going to go into daixrp.com, which is the Patreon. We're going to go, or you can click the join button below the YouTube video to join. And a reminder, I still have the link to the new company I'm using for custody and to have a personal rep if I want to buy or sell crypto. That's in the group. And I'm also going to tell you an interesting story about the Masters, something that happened yesterday with one of my friends from here. My brother just texted me and said that he was driving through Augusta and he could see all the rich people landing on their private jets at the Masters. It's full of wealthy people, and that's part of what's interesting about this story. And we're also going to talk about one of the biggest lies ever told, folks. And I'm going to show you a crypto portfolio I agree with. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.